Good morning to you. Good morning to you. This car is not watching where they're going, and I'm backing out. You know, one of the things I have been noticing lately is the large amounts of rude people in the world. I don't know, maybe it's a mirror I'm seeing myself, but I really don't think so. I think I'm a pretty considerate person, honestly. I always let people go in front of me, but anyway, I will tell you that Costco is not the place to test that out, because the majority of the people, like this woman right here coming right down the middle of the aisle, not acting like anybody in the world, you know, she's the only one, just pushing her cart. Costco's not the place to test it, because the majority of the people here are rude, entitled. They want their shit for cheap, and they want it now. I really actually don't think the stuff in there is that much cheaper than anywhere else. But I get my epilepsy medicine there because it's actually cheaper there. It really is. It's like so much cheaper there. Well, I don't know now with insurance, but I used to not use insurance for it, and because I had this weird kind of insurance where, like, whatever you didn't use, like, as far as, like, meds and anything out of pocket, like, went towards, like, a pension at the end of the year or something. Not a pension, but, like, anyway, it was not a health savings account, but it was very similar to that. And then I don't have that health insurance anymore, so now my meds are $15, they were $5. But this is ridiculous. For one epilepsy medicine, without insurance, it's like $396 is what I used to pay a month. So, and if I don't have those, then I will have, you know, up to 10 or 15 seizures a day, which is interesting, you know, when we talk about healthcare in this country, affordable healthcare, and I'm not going to get on a bandwagon about that, but $400 is a lot of money for a lot of people. You know, not to mention that if you don't have health insurance and you have a seizure and you end up in the hospital on top of your $400 a month of health insurance, which a lot of people that have, you know, seizure disorder and epilepsy can't work a real job, because even though they take the medication, they continue to have it. So I feel very blessed that A, I can afford health insurance, B, that my meds are cheap, and C, that I don't have seizures. A lot of people ask me about the lights at Ultra Music Festival and the flashing lights. You know, it's really interesting. Like, that kind of stuff never bothers me. And it never has. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm on such high doses. I take Depakote. I take 1,500 milligrams of Depakote a day. I don't know if it's because I'm on such high, which is also known as valproic acid. I don't know if it's because I'm on such high doses of, you know, seizure medication that I just don't ever feel the lights or all that kind of stuff, but it never bothers me. Now, sometimes I get headaches because I have migraine disorder associated with that, and if you have migraines, you know that migraines are different than headaches. So did I just say headaches? But like, what I call headaches, like I'll say to people, I don't say to people I'm getting a migraine. I say I'm getting a headache, because most people don't understand that, or they're like, oh, do you need to leave? I'm like, no, I deal with migraines almost every day of my entire life. So, yeah. It's Thursday and it's rainy, and I did not sleep well last night because as soon as I got into bed, it started thundering and lightning, and the dogs went crazy. It's really weird. Tucker's completely fine. Like, it's like he doesn't even notice that there's any kind of storm going on. But like, Pee-Pee it doesn't bother him, but last night he came and like was like right next to me. And then Boo Radley just shakes like a leaf. He's just terrified. He just keeps on moving up and up and up and up, and he was scratching my skin, and I'm burnt anyway. And so, you know, it was just like, I was like, Boo, Boo. I almost put him downstairs in their house because I was like, I can't do this tonight and get some sleep. And then Alex this morning was like, I hardly got any sleep last night because of the dogs. I was like, they weren't even bothering you. Like, seriously? What is all this construction saying? I'm gonna get stickers that say I'm a rude person. I'm gonna start putting them on people.
Thank you for choosing Starbucks, so it can get served you.
Can I get a venti iced coffee with 2 equal, please?
And would you like to take the plastic out of that?
I'm sorry, what?
Would you like to take the liquid sugar out of that?
I guess. I just want an iced coffee with 2 equal.
Alright, your total is $3.22.
This is wrong, because it's always more than that, and I don't know what she just said she's going to take out of it. I don't know what that means.
Alright, $3.22.
I didn't know what you were asking. I'm sorry.
Oh, we have liquid sugar that we normally put in there,
Uh-huh.
like that, and added sugar, so I was asking you if you wanted.
Oh, no. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Thank you.
Would you like a receipt today?
No, I don't need one. Have a good one.
You too. Iced coffee?
She was very sweet. Just running errands. I have an appointment with somebody at 3 o'clock. What time is it right now? It's 1:30. You know, do you ever do something like every day and it just becomes kind of ritual for you and then you get kind of sick of it? Like, I'm honestly kind of sick of drinking coffee. And, which is weird. I don't know. I'll tell you why it's also kind of weird, and this will only make sense if you're in it. And maybe not so much today, but the way that I grew up is that it's kind of a sober thing too. So to be like sober and not drink coffee is like, what? And, but like, I just don't enjoy it as much anymore. Like after dinner, sitting there, like having a cup of coffee, like that I enjoy. But like, I just don't enjoy this as much anymore, you know? And to spend $4 on it every day, it's like, well, I could just be drinking water or an iced tea or something like that. I'm not I do like a green tea or a black tea. I'm not like a southern iced tea kind of person. I don't love that. I don't know why, but I just don't. So I was like trying to figure out this ad. It's for the baseball stadium here where the Indians play, and it said our park has the best slides, and I couldn't see the picture, and it was like this guy sliding into first base. I hate kitschy shit like that. I really do. Like, it has to be like really over the top for me, or I just can't be bothered. Like, it has to be really funny for me, you know what I mean? Like, where I'm just like caught off guard. Or if it's something kind of cheesy like that, I'm just like, you guys need to be back in the advertising boardroom thinking that through. Because that would not make me want to go to a baseball game. And if you're going to do that, then if you're going to do something that's cheesy that doesn't work, then you should pull for like emotional. You know, like the perfect summer date, and they show the fireworks after the game. Like that would get me to go to a baseball game. But I don't think advertisers think like that anymore. I think they think, what's the biggest gimmick that we can do, you know, that will trend, hashtag. Like, they don't really think about, like, the person out there, you know? Like, they don't think about us. They don't think about the consumer that's buying the product. It's like my dad. So I don't talk a lot about what my dad does, but my dad works for a big hospital system. And, you know, hospital rooms or hospitals get a lot of complaints about their emergency rooms. They just do, right? And people are like, oh, it's so slow, and, you know, we don't get attention right away and whatever. And I said, you know what you need to do, Dad? I was like in the hospital visiting him one day, and he was like, what? And I said, you guys need to take these old ladies sitting in these information booths. You know, because like if you go through a hospital, there's always like these like 65, I don't really consider that old anymore. I don't know, it's weird as you get older what you consider old, but like 70 plus, these women that like are volunteers and they sit around the hospital and they have like those apron things on. I said, you need to like get like a rotating staff of like 10 of those women, men too if they want, you know, where they wear like jeans and just like a flannel shirt or dress, or they can wear whatever they want to wear as long as it looks kind of nice. And then they wear like, you know, all of them have the same uniform apron over it so you identify them as everybody else. And then when you come through the door of the emergency room, every person has a point person, okay, that they see when they come in there. And then like they like come up to you and they go, hi, I'm Judy and I'm your hospital liaison and I'm going to be the one like meeting with or showing you how to like what stations to go to and how much longer it'll be till you go back. I said it would be very personal. I said, I really think this country needs to go back to like front porch alliances, kind of. We need to go back to when it was like all of us sitting on each other's front porches, you know? You need to feel like your neighbor is helping you out. My dad was like, that'll never work. I'm like, all right. Nobody wants to listen to me. I like when I go into the gas station, I'm getting my fountain Coke, and they go, hey, Peter, how are you? Because they know me, because I come in there every day. I don't usually go to the Starbucks that I just went to. I go to another one. I mean, I get my coffee 3 days out of the week for free because they're so nice to me because they know me. You know, like, that's what I like when I, you know, go places is, like, I love that small town kind of feeling, even if you're not in a small town. And I think we've so gotten away from that, you know, that I really think in the next 5 years the pendulum is gonna switch the other way from the need of having, you know, 5 million likes on Instagram to people only caring if they have 2 or 3 friends of quality. I really do. I don't think it's gonna go. I think this more and more shit's about to end. I mean, it has to at some point, right? Gas is expensive right now. It's $2.38. I paid $2.39 last night and I didn't even fill my tank and I put $25 in it. It's at half a tank right now. I'm hungry. I am like all over the place today. I'm hungry. I'm complaining. Anyway, I guess I'll go home and start getting ready for this meeting of the minds. There's this place right here, and currently it has this restaurant in it called Luciana's. It's a Mexican restaurant and cantina. They always say that. Basically, that means bar. But anyway, that place has been, I swear to God, like 8 different restaurants. I would never in a million years, if I owned a restaurant, put it in there because you know it's going to fail. Do you guys have places like that in your hometown? You're like, oh, there they put another one in there. How long till it's going to close down? Because they never last. Ever. It's crazy. All right. I think I might do, you guys are watching this on Friday, so I'm doing this on Thursday. So Friday night, I'm going to do a YouNow stream, so watch it, okay? Bye. So I got all this food and I couldn't even finish it. And really what I realized is I just wanted a drink. Diet Coke. So anyway, 13 Reasons Why is on Netflix. I read that book like years ago by Jay Asher. It's so good. And I don't want to tell you what it's about because I started watching while I was eating the Netflix series. It's like 13 episodes, season 1 is. And it looks really, really good. I think the kid that's in it, like I can't remember what he was in. I want to say Perks of Being a Wallflower, but it's not him. I just saw this kid in something else. But anyway, I'm really excited to see it. It's weird being back and realizing how very little I do with my life. You notice I have my glasses on. I had to take my contacts out because one contact was driving me nuts. And I have to get to the eye doctor to get my eye exam because I'm out of contacts. So if there's anybody out there that could just send me contacts that I wouldn't have to get an eye exam, I would love that. I could just give you my prescription and tell you what I need. I wear AccuView, Oasis, negative 2.5 in both eyes. There, I'll just put that into the universe. Because I really don't want to have to get an eye exam. My eyes have not changed in 10 years. And I go get an eye exam and pay for it just so I can get new contacts. And I'm down to 2 contacts, like 1 pair. I think I have 1 pair and an extra contact, so I have 3 contacts total. Anyway, I don't know what I'm gonna do this weekend. Like, it's PP and Peter's bachelor weekend. It's PP and Peter's bachelor weekend. Don't worry about us because we'll be off the fun. Because Alex is going to stay in a hotel this weekend. Like college never ends, with his best friend from high school and college, Sarah. And so I'm kind of on my own this weekend until Sunday. Which I don't mind. Like, I like spending time alone, so... I mean, I like complain about being lonely, but then I like spending time alone. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, you know, do you do that? Do you complain about things that you like enjoy, but like you don't want too much of it? It has rained here so much in the last 24 hours. Boo does this thing, like when, like I was talking about this earlier, or I was talking about it last night, I don't know. Well, it would have been, because it was last night that it happened, but, so it must have been today on my vlog, but like, Boo does this thing, like when it rains, he like gets on my chest, like when it's thunderstorming outside, and then he just crawls up closer and closer and closer and closer to my face. Like, I was like, Boo, sweetie, you can't get any closer. Like, he was like right in my face last night, made me so nervous. He just shakes. I'm like, ugh. So anyway, I was talking about making gratitude lists, and then I used to like make like goals for the day, and I need to get back to making my lists every day. The thing is that lately my lists every day, excuse me, have looked exactly the same. So it's kind of like, why even make a list when I know everything I have to do in a day, right? Thank you, Zach, for this wonderful lip glosses. I have like literally so many people have sent me chapsticks and things like that now that I have like 30 I don't need any like more chapstick. I don't need to go buy any more chapstick anymore. I was like at Walmart the other day and they have like some new kind of like chapstick. I can't remember what it was. Like, it was chapstick brand, but it was like a, because you know how like they have flavors, like pumpkin pie is like one of my favorite flavors that they have, and I use it in my office. And I was like, Peter, you do not need another, I think it was sugar cookie actually, it was like old Christmas ones. And I was like, Peter, you do not need any more chapsticks. So many people have been so kind to send you so many chapsticks that you don't need any more. I had this weird thought, like, you know, so, like, when somebody passes away, like, that's really important to you. If you've gone through this, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you can't explain it to somebody until they've gone through it. But, like, you have these moments, like, where you forget that they're gone, no matter how long they've been gone. And I was, like, thinking about making a video, like, today, and I was, like, wanting to do a story time. I was thinking about doing story times with Tanya, like some funny things that had happened to Tanya and I, my best friend. And then I was like, oh, I like was talking to a client today about grocery shopping with my mom, and how back in the day, like when we would go grocery shopping, like my mom would be like really cheap grocery shopping. Like, there were things like, okay, when I would come home from school, and I was not a fat kid, like I was a thin kid until like 8th grade, and then like in 8th grade, I put on a bunch of weight, and then in 10th grade, going into 10th grade, 10th grade going into 11th grade, I became kind of manic that whole summer, and all I ate was vegetables, like every day, like cold vegetables. I was really kind of like a raw foods dieter before anybody was doing it. I did it for a whole summer. I would cut up all these vegetables and eat them. And I had this little container that I kept it in that was very Claire from Breakfast Club. Do you remember her with her little sushi kit? But anyway, my mom and I would walk every day, and I lost like 30 pounds. I remember I went to school as a junior, and I had like lost all this weight, and all these people noticed me. Wasn't that always the case? But anyway, And I've literally, since 8th grade, dealt with my weight. Like, it's been an issue in my life always. And, but I can remember, like, snacks after school. Like, I would eat, like, saltines and peanut butter, just, like, one after another after another. And, like, I also remember, like, I would come home from school. My mom, like, always, like, made me a snack. But, like, she would make me, like, one of the things that she always made me, and she loved them, too, were graham crackers with white frosting. And, so, like, there were things that she would not, like, jip on. Like, whipped cream, she always got name brand, like, for pie and stuff like that. And then, like, what else? And then, like, oh, frosting and things like that. But, like, cereal, my mother, like, hated spending money on cereal. And I used to always want to get those little boxes that come in, like, a set of 8. And she'd be like, no, that's a waste of money because you only eat, like, 2 or 3 of the boxes. You don't like the rest of them that are, like, Wheaties and stuff like that. Because I always wanted, like, the Apple Jacks and the Sugar Pops and stuff. And I always wanted to, like, cut open the box and eat it out of the box. And she'd say, no, that's not necessary. We don't need to make a mess like that. And this blue bowl back in the day, this like blue bowl, I still have it at home. I used to always eat my cereal in. I love that I kept that all these years that I had as a little kid. And the other thing is, if you've never done this before, try it. I know it'll sound absolutely disgusting, but it's so good. As a special treat, go get a box of cereal and half. And instead of milk, eat it with half and half. It's so good. My mom and I used to do that. And, but then, like, ice cream, she was so cheap on ice cream. And as I got older, I can remember, like, when I, like, didn't live at home anymore. And I would call her, and I'd be like, what are you doing? And she'd be like, I'm kind of sick to my stomach, honey. And I'd be like, what do you mean you're sick to your stomach? And she'd be like, well, I went to the grocery store, and they have, like, a gallon of ice cream for, like, 99 cents, so I got one and I just ate the whole gallon sitting here watching. She would always watch like the 9 o'clock movie followed by like the 11 o'clock news. Like, she always did that. My mother didn't have cable until, like, I swear my mother did not have cable. She had basic cable. She didn't have cable until like 5 years before she died, and then she finally got like basic cable. Like, my aunt got it for her. And I remember, maybe it was like 10 years before she died. Yeah, it probably was more like 10 years before she died. But I remember we were like, right after she got it, we were like, it was like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something. And the reason that my aunt got it for her, and she bought her this really nice TV too, was for the Oscars to watch. But I remember my mom was like, okay, so you know, like, when you get, like, some people get wrong channels for free, like their neighbors have it. Like, back in the day, I don't think this happens as much anymore, but like, you wouldn't pay for like Showtime or HBO, but since your neighbors got it, you just got it by accident. Well, my mom got HBO by accident, and I'll never forget, she was telling us, she was like, I was watching this show last night. She was like, I don't know why I get HBO, but I do. And it was Real Sex is what she was watching. And they were like, and she goes, and they were having this award shows for pornographic movies. And my mother was no prude, okay? She just wasn't. Like, she was a realist. But she would never have sat and watched porn either. She equated porn to watching somebody go to the bathroom in the toilet. She was like, I think that's a private thing. We don't do that in public and take movies of it. She always thought that it looked bad, made women look bad too. She was like, which I guess like kind of rules out gay porn, but she was like, I don't really care what situation it is. I think women are always made to look bad in pornography and in any of those kind of situations. And she had pretty strong beliefs about certain things like that, like when it came to women's rights. Like, she did not believe that a woman should move in with a man before he got married. They got married, and it wasn't because she thought it was like living in sin. She would say, I think the woman gets the short end of the stick. Like, why should a man marry a woman if she's basically his wife already living in the house? Like, you know, my mom, she had very strange beliefs about, I don't know if they're strange, she just believed in that. She did firmly believe in not having sex with a man until she was married with him. I mean, she really did believe that. I think those are kind of like some missed things today. I miss those sayings, you know? I'm like in my head, like, should I share this or will it'll come across wrong? It would be interesting to see my mom today, her opinion on interracial dating. Like, I can remember having a conversation with my mom one time about would she date a black man. And my mother marched in Selma, and she was a civil rights activist all her life, you know, human rights activist. And I'll never forget what she said to me. And she said, and I don't know that I fully understood it at the time. And she said she would not date a man that was African American. And I said, why not? And she goes, because the man that I would be attracted to would be so proud of his culture that he would never date a white woman. And I thought that was always interesting that she said that. I remember my mom used to, like, when I was growing up, she made me read, like, the book Black Like Me. Did you ever read that book about, I think it was by Eldridge Cleaver, or Soul on Ice was by Eldridge Cleaver. Black Like Me is about the guy in the 40s or 50s, I think it was the 50s, that went in blackface as a journalist to see what it was like to live as a black man in the South. It's a wonderful book. And Soul on Ice, I think, was Eldridge Cleaver, and he was the Black Panther leader. Just some really amazing books about African American heritage. It was really important for my mom that I read books on all different kinds of culture. And this Jeep Wrangler is very nice next to us. They don't quite look like the couple that would drive it. But anyway, but I was thinking, all of this today is so stupid that I was talking about, but I was thinking today about my mom, and I was thinking about the grocery store and these funny stories about going to the grocery store, and I was like, for a split second thought, oh my God, I should call my mom and have her do, like, a video with me, a story time video. And then I was like, yeah. Like, I forget sometimes, you know, like when something really good happens, like I want to call my mom, you know, and there's a lot about Alex's mom that reminds me of my mom. Like, they're very similar in ways. They're very strong women, and there's just a softness in her face that she has as a strong woman. I don't know how to explain that. The dichotomy is always interesting to me. That I recognize the look from my mom, and it makes me miss my mom, you know? I think that's a lot of times, too, I don't go, like, and have drinks with Alex and his mom, because I do think it's really important that he goes and has time alone with her, without me. Because that was important for me, to have time alone with my mom without my ex. And I'm very protective of Alex's relationship with his mom. He's very respectful of her. All three boys are very respectful of their mother. And if they're not, she puts them in check real quick. And not in a disrespectful way either, you know? She's just like, you don't talk, why would you talk to your mother that way? I have a lot of respect. I mean, she's one of the neatest women I've ever met in my entire life, and the lengths that she's gone to for her boys is just incredible. Working all kinds of crazy hours to support them. The things we do for those that we love, right? I have gotten so many messages from people right now, going through breakups, having had boyfriends cheat on them. Breaks my heart for you guys, you know? And you're so sweet, all of you, for saying that, like, listening to my vlogs helps you and it makes you laugh or calms you down or whatever, you know? Like, listen. We all have shit in our lives. I have shit in my life, you know? And I think we're all just trying to get by and do the best that we can and put one foot in front of the other. And sometimes it's just enough to roll out of bed for the day. Sometimes it's just enough to pick our head up, you know? And so I sponsored somebody in a 12-step program, and we were talking today, and he was real depressed, and he's like, you know, I feel like I'm isolating, and it made me think about isolating a lot. And, like, I think we have this idea that it's bad for us to isolate, you know? when I don't necessarily think that spending time alone and reflecting on our lives is bad. Like, now I think to do that for weeks on end is dangerous, for days on end is dangerous, but I think to have a couple days and just say, I need to be away from some people for a while, you know? I need to not have any distractions in my life. And it was so funny because he was like, I just don't want to talk to anybody right now. And I was like, buddy, that's fine, you know? Like, his name is not Buddy. I call everybody Buddy. It's younger than me. I'm obviously not going to say his name. I wouldn't do that to somebody. But, you know, I think it's interesting that, like, don't you ever just not want to talk to anybody? God. I mean, I do. Not. I'm on this camera all the time. I love to talk. No, but, like, I mean, I think, like, sometimes, like, we just don't want to be around people. And, you know, Tanya says this a lot, and I mean, I really relate to this, although I couldn't really own it for a long time. She's like, hell, sometimes I'm not fit to be around people. And I'm like, that is so me. I'm, like, sometimes not fit to be around people. I have no business being around anybody. You know? But then I take a day and I eat some bad food and I take a nap and I spend my time with the dogs and I'm okay, you know? I'm like really like in tune with when I need to be around people and when okay, that's not how I would need to say this. I'm really in tune today in my life on when I need to be around people. Like if I'm lonely and I'm like, okay, I need to call up Tanya, I need to go on a date with my husband, I need to go be around some people, I need to go to a party. Like I know today, like when I'm like, I need that. But I also know today when I don't need that. Like when I don't need to be around people and I need like a little break from all of it, you know? And I'm really glad that I'm there because for a long time I didn't know. And then what would happen would be, you know, that I would have days on end where I just like wouldn't see a soul and I wouldn't get a text from anybody. And then I would just wake up and I would just be so depressed. I'd be like, I have nobody in my life, you know? I think it's hard when the person that works at the gas station is the only person you see for a couple days in a row, you know? At the grocery store or whatever. And I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that relate to that. And it's hard. It's really hard. But that's when those are the moments that I pick up a book, you know, or I watch a movie, or I get on Netflix, and I go outside of myself into something else, you know, or I try to like go give back and volunteer, because I do a lot of that. And that's something that I can't show on here, some of the things that I do. So, you know, and like that always makes me feel better to get out of myself and realize that I'm just not that fucking important in the real scheme of things, you know? I mean, if I were gone tomorrow, life would go on. People would be real sad for, you know, weeks. People would be weeping for weeks. No, I mean, people would be sad for a little while, you know, and then people would be like, oh, I can't believe he's gone. And then people would be like, do you remember him? And then people would be like, oh, and then we kind of forget over time. And, you know, the reality is life's going to go on. People are going to continue to get their Starbucks and new social apps will come on and life will go on. I'm just not that fucking important in the grand scheme of things. And, you know, that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, is that we are but a dent, you know, in the bigger picture. But I think it's a relief, too, to realize that not even the most famous of the most famous are really that important, you know? So then there's no reason to, like, compete. Then what that makes you realize is, you know, even, like, who's somebody that's super famous? I mean, you know, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or, you know, Julia Roberts, or Tom Cruise. I'm, like, picking old actors. Justin Bieber, somebody like that. You know, like, if they but only make a dent in the world, then I'm never gonna be there, right? And that doesn't say that I don't matter. What that says is, then that relieves me of the responsibility of ever having to try to be like Justin Bieber on that level. So then what that does is that allows me to go, well, what do you want to do with your life? You know, do it. Do what you want to do. Plus, I really think the real impact that we have on people is one-on-one. You know, the little things, the chapsticks. You know, Zach sending me this chapstick. I think those are the real impacts that we make on people. The small words of kindness, buying somebody Starbucks for them, you know, behind you, or leaving a little extra change in the meter, or, you know, letting somebody have a parking space, or just going and sitting with somebody that doesn't feel very well, or calling somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time and saying, hey, I was thinking about you today, how have you been, you know, or dancing in your kitchen, or making a meal you haven't had in a long time, or treating yourself to a kind of ice cream that you've never tried before, or like banana pancakes that day that I did that, you know, or whatever it is. And I think life is in those moments. And then sharing that and passing that on to somebody else. I don't know. I don't know much, I guess. I know I love this. And I love talking to you guys. Night.